Well, hello guys, welcome back. We had a wonderful Day of the Dead because, we are very fortunate in this country that we can celebrate. The most taxing thing I had to do was walk up a hill, my out of shape butt walked up a hill and I balanced my checkbook. And I thank Lasanta profusely because I said, there's so many people that like to celebrate Day of the Dead. Sometimes they have to save up a year to be able to afford some of the stuff because, it's expensive. And they're very poor, they're very impoverished. And there are also people right now in a caravan that I'm sure they would love to be back home if home was a safe place to be and be celebrating and remembering the ancestors, and they don't have that luxury. So, I put those people in her hands. I asked her to please protect them as they try to come here. They won't reach our borders for months if they ever do, because Mexico is opening their hearts and their homes, and they're like, please, you're home, please stay here, please stay here. So, hopefully this all turns out for the best, and I've been praying to her because we have to admit this country right now is crazy town. I wouldn't recommend anyone try to come to this country right now. It's insane. Yeah, we have a used car salesman at best in the White House. You don't want to come here right now. Please stay in Mexico. Be safe. Go with God. Vaya con Dios. Stay away. It's not safe. Yeah, like when you see the president sending armed people to the border to meet struggling, homeless, malnourished people. Yeah. And also, we have to look at what would Loki have us do. As Lokeans, what would he have us do? He got pissed off when he heard about, Trump wants to end birthright, which is sacred in this country, which means that if your mom made it here, you're an American citizen as long as you were born on America's soil. And it was celebrated at one time. We celebrated if a mom could make it to this country, she had enough moxie to get here. You deserve to be an American citizen. So it was celebrated. It was a good thing. And it stems from something terrible. It stems from the end of the slavery era, and it helped to, move forward after that and to make African Americans American citizens, which pissed a lot of people off, just as it's doing now, because people are like, yeah, they don't want this to happen anymore. And he's also trying to take away amnesty and asylum, which should scare you, because remember, we're the good guys. And Loki's just looking at all this, and the Allfather's just looking at all this. And, they're not naive, they're not stupid. They wouldn't just have you, like, say today, open your doors of your house and invite the roughest, toughest dudes in the neighborhood in and see what happens. They're not stupid. But if you see starving poor people walking down the street, falling down, they can hardly move, they can hardly lift themselves up, can't you at least call 911 and get them some help? Do you have no human decency? So yeah, they're both very upset. And remember, Loki always takes the homeless and the impoverished and the hungry under his wings because he knows what that's like to be the outsider, the outlander. And, he's been very angry. He's been very upset because he doesn't like to see human beings treated like things or treated like less than human because you don't like their race or you don't like where they come from or the language they speak or whatever the hell your problem is. He doesn't expect us all to love one another. He does expect us to tolerate each other. And to remember that if we want certain rights, we should extend those to everyone, not just the people we approve of or the people whose religion we like or the people who we like the color of their skin or whatever. We don't get to pick and choose. We have to extend it to everyone. And it's especially upsetting him to see the children and to see the women. Not that he doesn't care about men. He cares about men. But it's, it's breaking his heart to see women and children have to be in this. And I actually cannot watch any of this stuff because it upsets me too to see people, their families were threatened and that's why they're fleeing. If somebody threatens to kill your family, you usually take it seriously. We're used to, in this country, if somebody did that, we call the cops and they'd be in jail, hopefully. But, in their countries, there's nobody to come rescue you. There are no cops to come rescue you. The police are just as corrupt as everyone else, so that's why they're fleeing. They're fleeing for their life. They're fleeing for the lives of their children and their wives. And a lot of people have actually dropped out. They've settled down elsewhere. They were offered, homes and they were offered education and good jobs and everything. So a lot of them have taken, sensibly said, well, it's better to take something you will get than to perhaps get here and be turned away. So, we're hoping and praying it all works out, and we're hoping and praying the midterms work out because this country has completely gone off the rails at this point. When you see Obama, of all the presidents, lose his cool in a speech and say he just can't figure out how we're going to deny basic human rights to malnourished homeless people that are trying to totter to our border and won't be here for months. Yeah, he can't figure that one out. And I'm like, well, it's because some people put themselves first to the extent that, they would kick a homeless person out of their way. There are people like that on this planet. Just because we wouldn't do it doesn't mean other people wouldn't do it. Just because we wouldn't turn people away from a border or deny people a meal or something like that doesn't mean other people wouldn't do it. I remember being in Toronto one time on a trip. And a lot of times the homeless would be, around the hotels and they would beg for a hot meal because, it wasn't always safe to be in the shelters and they would beg for a hot meal. And the people in the hotel told us, don't you dare feed these people, you just encourage them. Can you imagine denying homeless people a meal because you don't want them around your hotel? I understand there is always one bad person in every bunch that ruins it for everybody else. I understand that. And I understand some people get very aggressive and mean. But that doesn't mean you deny, compassion and basic decency to everybody else on the planet. So it's just a thing where we have to hang on tight and have faith in Loki and have faith in La Santa as well if you serve her. She's very kind and she's very compassionate. She will watch over the poor, she will watch over the homeless, and she watches over all the outcasts. So she will watch over people, but we have to do our part too. So when election day comes, you have to vote with your conscience. If you really think that you really want to keep people out of your country and you don't care about asylum and you don't care about birthright, that's how you have to vote. I can't stop you. I wouldn't stop you. You have to vote with your true conscience. But if you feel, compassion for people that have lost absolutely everything and they're just trying to protect their families just like we would, if you feel compassion for people that, mom's made it here and gave birth to you and that was the best legacy she could give you because she didn't want you to grow up with as little or nothing as she did, then you have to vote that way. My ancestors came here, because they had nothing. Because there was no hope in the old country. That's why most of our ancestors came here. How many people's ancestors, raise up hands, had absolutely everything in the old country but decided, you know what, I'm throwing all my wealth and luxury away and I'm going to this country and I'm going to start as an impoverished person because it sounds romantic? Absolutely no one. Absolutely no one. Most of our, ancestors came here to start a new life. If they came over here wealthy, they stayed wealthy. But in my ancestors' case, that wasn't the case. They were poor. They could only afford to send the man over. The idea was the man would work and he would eventually send for the rest of the family. So yeah, that sounds very familiar, right? The dad would come or the mom would come or whoever would come. Maybe Big Brother would come or something, and they would work and work and work and work their rear end off till they earned enough money to bring the rest of the family over. And it wasn't for luxury. The rest of the family got here and they hit the ground running and they worked too. That's what our ancestors did. It's the same thing these people want to do. So to me, it's very unfair to deny them that right. But, if you disagree, you have to vote with your conscience when voting comes up. I cannot wait until voting is over in this country, guys. I really can't wait until the midterms are over. Yeah, they'll scream for a couple weeks after, no matter how the elections turn out. They'll either scream they won or they'll scream they lost and how this country is going to go to, Hellenheim in a handbasket and we're going to be invaded. But, and I'm like, really? When did the conspiracy theorists just come out in the mainstream? When did that happen? But, Loki's been upset. He's been upset. He doesn't like to see human rights violated. He's very strong about that because, if you go back to the idea that he and Odin are two of the brothers that are the creators of humans, then, they don't want their creations denied basic rights. They don't want their people denied basic rights. And all people are their people. You don't have to be whatever to be, to belong to Loki. So Loki is taking special care. The Fox is definitely putting his paw to this, and he's taking special care of these people because he's like, this is not right. I said, well, the White House is not going to do anything to help these people. In fact, they're already working on ending birthright, and they're working, I think I said, on ending amnesty and ending asylum for people. And he's like, oh, no, this is not happening. I said, well, then you have to do something, Loki. So, if you believe in common human decency, please keep these people in your prayers. Please keep this country, the whole world, in your prayers, because we got far-right nutters in the, seats of power. We've got war criminals in seats of power. Please keep this world in your prayers. So, guys, be thankful for the blessings you have. Most of us were very fortunate to be born somewhere where it's not so completely unstable and we're not living in a war zone. So do be thankful for the blessings you have and try to work together. We don't have to like each other. We're pagans. We're not expected to love one each other, love everyone and everything else, but we're at least expected to tolerate each other and to know when to live in peace, and to know when to tolerate each other. We don't have to like people. We don't have to like the color of their skin. We don't have to like their politics or where they come from or the language they speak, but we at least have to tolerate each other and treat each other with human decency, because that's what we would want for ourselves. And if we want a better world, we're going to have to be the ones to make it. Clearly those in power are not going to make this happen, so we have to be the ones to make the change. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.